The Mobitra transformers, we have identified load centers across the country where these transformers will be taken immediately.
Power sector gets much needed shot in the arm with arrival of FG Siemens transformers.
We went in to restore the road as a matter of urgency, and currently the contractors are working on it.
As the world celebrates World Rivers Day, not everyone is smiling. Floods in Gombe wash away livelihoods and bridges.
No platform should be allowed to be used to destroy this country. We are only broadcasting because there is Nigeria.
Focus on issues, politicians and broadcasters advised. Hello and welcome to the Network News on NTA. I'm Naja'atu Tijani. Hingino John Adams joins us from Lagos. Remember, you can follow the newscast live on our website, nta.ng/live, as well as other social media platforms displayed on the screen. President Muhammadu Buhari is back in Abuja after a successful outing at the 77th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, the United States. The president was received on arrival at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport by his Chief of Staff, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, the FCT Minister Muhammad Musa Bello, Inspector General of Police Usman Al-Ali Baba, Director General Department of State Services Yusuf Magaji Bichi, and other senior government officials. While in New York, the president delivered Nigeria's national statement to the world's latest diplomatic gathering and participated in various high-level events critical to the security and stability of the country, as well as socio-economic development. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that this year's outing by President Buhari at the United Nations is the last under his administration. Presidential spokesperson Femi Adesina describes the activities.
For 7 physical sessions had been at the UN General Assembly. One was done virtually because of COVID, and I believe that in those outings, the president has represented the country well, with dignity, with honor, and I believe that last speech at the UN was quite effective. In terms of the major takeaways, yes, you know that there were many bilateral meetings. We dwelt on the economy, we dwelt on security, we dwelt on healthcare, and very many other areas in which Nigeria can be benefited. And most importantly, there was that investment summit which brought global CEOs of businesses from around the world. It was a good outing for Nigeria, and as the benefits will begin to cascade in, it's going to be for the good of the country.
And before his return, President Muhammadu Buhari commended Nigerians living in the diaspora for their exemplary roles in different areas of endeavor, urging them to continue in that line to earn the respect of their hosts. Speaking at a town hall meeting with Nigerians in New York, the president said it was pleasing to note that many have either been elected or appointed into various responsible and competitive positions in the United States. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who congratulated those who have brought honors and pride to Nigeria, urged them to demonstrate the high sense of responsibilities in order that they continue to remain reference points of excellence as they serve humankind abroad. He emphasized the absolute necessity for each and every one of them to continue to remain law-abiding in the United States and comport themselves in such exemplary manners that should earn them collective self-respect within the communities they live in. The president said the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission was created by his administration to serve as a bridge between them and the country, with the expectation that they will give back to Nigeria some of their resources, talents, skills, and global exposure for national development. He described as welcoming and impactful diaspora remittances, which stood at $20 billion in 2021, an amount 4 times the foreign direct investment in the same period, as well as their investments in various sectors of the Nigerian economy. President Buhari reiterated his administration's commitment to free, fair, and transparent elections in 2023, as this is the only way Nigeria can continue to set the right example for the rest of Africa and hopefully stop the recourse to unconstitutional changes of government. The chairman, Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabri Erewa, coordinated the event.
Everybody that the president met today is not about just being American, it's about what they're doing back home. Virtually every one of them is doing something back home, contributing to the Nigerian economy, and we're always so proud of Nigeria. So it's still the same message. Nigerians being good ambassadors of their country, not forgetting home, and working with Nigerians at home to build our country, and this group has been really amazing. Like I said, what is unique about all of them is that they're not just sitting in America. They'll have business back home, the doctors are doing things back home, medical missions, they're contributing, helping to raise other young Nigerians. So we keep at it and keep ensuring that we engage our diaspora.
The representatives of Nigerians in the U.S. who visited the president were made up of those who made their marks in various fields of endeavor. From New York, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
The first set of mega transformers procured under the federal government's Siemens deal have arrived in Nigeria. Joshua Ojito reports that the transformers are part of equipment to be delivered under the Presidential Power Initiative aimed at boosting electricity generation and distribution, as well as stabilizing the grid.
In the coming months, Nigerians will be witnessing installation of mega transformers procured from Siemens Energy by the federal government. Already, federal government has taken delivery of first set of the transformers, with inauguration expected in October this year. Factory acceptance test of the transformers was earlier carried out at the Siemens factory in Italy, where federal government delegation witnessed the exercise. In addition to 10 mega transformers, mobile substations among other power equipment will be delivered by Siemens Energy under the Presidential Power Initiative.
The Mobitra transformers, we have identified load centers across the country where these transformers will be taken immediately, and it will give us the boost of the quick win we have been talking about in the phase 1 of the Siemens.
The Presidential Power Initiative, conceived by the Buhari administration, is to address challenges of power supply in the country, thereby strengthening the transmission network and increase electricity generation and distribution to 25,000 megawatts by 2025. Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
Still on electricity, the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, says restoration of the national grid will soon be completed following partial system disturbance earlier in the day. The incident, TCN explains, was as a result of sudden drop in system frequency, which created instability. Restoration of the affected part of the grid commenced immediately nationwide, and the National Control Center says a full-scale investigation is being conducted to establish and determine the cause of the partial disturbance. The Nigerian electricity supply industry regrets any inconveniences caused by the disruption and appreciates the understanding of electricity consumers within and outside the country. TCN assures electricity customers that it is committed to leveraging the concerted interventions instituted so far to enhance power supply reliability so that the issue of system disturbance will soon become a thing of the past. To election matters now, sustaining the momentum already built in providing needed support for the micro, small and medium enterprises sector is highly crucial to the Nigerian economy. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, who is of this view, says the incoming government will be encouraged to continue with the initiative. The This was when a group of Made in Nigeria advocates paid a courtesy visit to the Vice President in appreciation of the administration's support for MSMEs in the country. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
In the last 7 years, Vice President Yemi has been leading the federal government's team on the implementation of various initiatives such as the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Clinics, Survival Fund, Trader Money and other interventions. The Vice President considers this sector as crucial to the economy as it provides excellent services and opportunity for millions of Nigerians. And he says this momentum built on the sector must be maintained given its crucial position in the economy.
And I expect that whichever I expect that an incoming government will see the need to promote the MSME sector. We'll make sure that we provide everything that is required to ensure that we support them in being able to step into their responsibilities in a way that will be for the maximum benefit of the country.
About the Made in Nigeria concept and the need to develop local capacity, the Vice President says it is true that no economy can be entirely self-sustaining, but it is important to emphasize that Nigerians have the capacity to do a lot in the country. The group acknowledged the contributions of the Vice President through key interventions supervised under his office, noting that they positively impacted small businesses in the space.
We're very confident that a large number of them have been very impacted by some of these intervention programs, and we are only grateful because a large number of them are under the purview of the Made in Nigeria project, because you cannot do without indigenous homegrown initiatives like the Made in Nigeria project.
Adebisi Alebiosu, who leads the delegation, said the visit to the Vice President underscored the importance of collaboration and partnership in growing the micro, small and medium enterprises space in the country. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
And that report was on economic matters. And now to election matters. Persons affected by leprosy will be given adequate attention to vote in the 2023 general elections. INEC gave the assurance at a meeting with the Leprosy Mission in Nigeria. Nia Ogidi reports.
2023 elections, all about the use of technology. Voters' facials and fingerprints to be captured with beavers. For voters affected by leprosy, their fingers deformed, and this becomes a challenge.
We should accept them. They are part of us. They are the citizens of this country. They have a right to elect their own leaders. Elect leaders of the country.
But through collaboration between INEC and the Leprosy Mission in Nigeria, this set of voters now mainstreamed into the electoral process.
There are 2 leprosy communities here in the FCT. INEC took the initiative and they went to the Yangoji leprosy community and registered them in that community. They have been captured and they have their voters card. They are ready to vote in 2023.
So our people will don't register, but the problem is that the people who are registered, some of them, their BBC come in, the other one no come out.
Our brothers and sisters in Nigeria who are leprosy patients have faces, and the commission have captured them, and by the grace of God, on the day of election, they will be duly accredited and they will cast their votes.
However, INEC officials still undergoing some training to give better treatment to people living with disabilities in 2023 elections. Mie Ogidi, NTA News.
Issues-based campaigns are key in attaining credible elections come 2023. This is the line of thought at a sensitization forum on political broadcasting in Abuja, which is the first in a series of sensitization workshops ahead of the 2023 general elections. Adebola Brookslin reports.
It was a convergence of media chief executives, the election judge, security agents, and other key players. How to actualize a single goal of a peaceful and credible general elections next year is the reason the media regulator in Nigeria is sensitizing the forum.
No platform should be allowed to be used to destroy this country. We are only broadcasting because there is Nigeria.
The umpire is relying on the new Electoral Act 2022 for a successful 2023 general elections.
Politics is an intensely partisan activity. The media and INEC stand for neutrality. Our path with the politicians will never cross.
Adequate security provisions have been made to ensure that an enabling environment is in place.
For members of the fourth estate of the realm, the pen profession will employ instruments of professionalism to ensure election integrity.
Where you need to be there for us to give us the necessary security covering, please don't hesitate.
Because it's a special profession, they always push the economic pressure aside when it comes to the unity of the country.
We at all times try to give a level playing ground for all the political parties. That's why most of these coverages and most of these platforms are given to them free.
In few days, campaign by political parties in public, as provided by the Electoral Acts, will officially commence nationwide. Adebola, Brooksland, NTA News.
Ahead of the commencement of the 2023 election campaign on Wednesday, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party and former Vice President of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, has made key appointments on special advisors aimed at strengthening his presidential campaign team. The media advisor to the PDP presidential candidate, Paul Ibe, in a statement indicates the appointees are former presidents of the Senate, Dr. Bukola Saraki as special envoy to the presidential candidate and Senator Pius Anyim special advisor. Also appointed as special advisors to the candidate are former governor of Kano State, Senator Ibrahim Shekarau, former governor of Osun State, Prince Olagunsoye Oyinlola, and Senator Ehige Uzamiri, adding that former national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Prince Uche Secondus, has also been appointed technical advisor to the presidential candidate. The appointments are to take effect immediately. Meanwhile, Atiku Abubakar charges the appointees to use their vast political experiences in ensuring that the PDP presidential campaign records resounding success in the 2023 election. You're watching the Network News on NTA. It's time for our first break. Do stay tuned. Thanks for staying tuned. We're talking judicial matters now. The Conference of Heads of Courts is underway in Abuja with issues on adjudication on pre- and post-election matters on the front burner, as well as ensuring transparency in the management of judicial matters. Olabode Arewa reports.
It is electioneering time once again, and practically all sectors of the country are gearing up to take active roles in the activities. The judiciary sector is not left out as it strategizes to ensure that the autonomy granted to it by Section 17, 81, and 121 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, remains sacrosanct.
My lords, judicial independence is critical to survival of any democracy. More so in a relatively young democracy such as ours. However, this cannot be said of many state judiciaries, as many of the heads of court still go cap in hand to the executive for funds allocated to the judiciary, as against the provisions of Section 121, subsection 3 of the 99 Constitution.
My Lord, there is no gainsaying that the fact that the transparency and accountability are two indispensable qualities of any judiciary in the world. as they aid in the fight against corruption and eliminate arbitrariness. In the light of foregoing, I make bold to say that fostering transparency and accountability at all levels of judiciary will not only increase trust but also strengthen the independence of the judiciary.
In the light of what some people with clouded intentions may want to use the judiciary to achieve, the Roundtable is also working to ensure that judicial decisions promote equal access to justice. In Abuja, Olabodarewa, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Nigeria is to embark on regular and increased advocacy programs for river restoration, protection and conservation to ensure coordinated development and management of water resources in the country's rivers, streams and lakes. Water Resources Minister Suleiman Adamu stated this during celebrations marking World Rivers Day 2022. Musbal Wahab reports.
One may have to prove that humans can survive without arteries needed for circulation of blood in the system to dispute internationally renowned river activist Mark Angelo's arguments that rivers are the arteries of our planet. They are lifelines in the truest sense. This year, it's a reminder that not only humans, flora and fauna also need the rivers for survival.
Rivers supply water and nutrients to different parts of the earth for the sustenance of living organisms, while also acting as drainage channels for surface runoff water.
Despite its importance, some rivers in Nigeria, like many others in the world, are facing major threats ranging from pollution to low water levels compounded by climate change.
This phenomenon leads to alarming global degradation of rivers and other water bodies such as lakes, coupled with the resulting harm to wildlife, public health and local economies.
So, on its day, Jabi Lake in Abuja is receiving guests on behalf of rivers, the celebrants. And here, friends of rivers are playing up the importance of returning favor by protecting the rivers around. Otherwise, two things may happen. They either lose it or get it in unwanted places.
By conserving the rivers, we will also conserve our environment or our mother nature.
Mark Angelo proposed United Nations endorsed it since 2005, and Nigeria's government has kept the spirit of preserving the rivers, but Nigerians, they say, must nurture the symbolic preservative trees. In Abuja, Musbal and Wahab, NC News.
September 2022 is coming to an end, and with it, the rainy season. However, Kuri community in Yamal-Tudeba local government area of Gombe State has not escaped from raging floods, which have given them a taste of bitter experience during the season. Emmanuel Akila visited the community during the market day in the wake of a recent flood disaster, but reports that it hasn't stopped business from flourishing.
Approaching Kuri community, either from Gombe, the state capital, or from Yola, Adamawa State, a first-time visitor will presume the sight when approaching the bridge linking the community with the rest of the world as the community's market. Yes, it is the community's market day, but not the market square. The stranded traders and commuters decide to display their wares because vehicles cannot access the village since the portion of the bridge succumbed to the rage of flood few days to the market day.
Though there is an immediate palliative measures taken by the government to ensure restoration of the collapsed portion, until that is completed, the people are left with this hardship that we see of carrying their loads on heads to cross over to the other side.
There was an immediate intervention, but more efforts are still required. For about 20 years, we have been coming to this market, but the situation today is a hard one.
The people said the number of houses that collapsed cannot be counted because the flood water swept some areas completely, leaving no traces of structures.
We went in to restore the road as a matter of urgency, and currently the contractors are working on it. With all being well, we hope today the bridge is accessible to traffic.
The people of Kuri community are predominantly farmers with large-scale grains coming from the surrounding villages and transported to different parts of the country. Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
The complementary efforts of Sasakawa African Association to a series of agricultural interventions by federal and state governments is yielding the desired results in the 36 years of its operations in Nigeria. Abbas Mekano reports on some of the success stories recorded by farmers in Gombe State.
Sasakawa African Association, an international NGO that supports mostly small-scale farmers, is currently working in 13 African countries on basic modern farming techniques in the production, processing, as well as marketing and value addition to agricultural produce.
We have been taught how to raise seedlings, how to plant the rice, how to control pest, and also how to apply our fertilizer.
The nutritional aspect, they taught us how to save and keep the farm produce, how to sell them, and they do liaise with viable buyers.
So far, the organization has impacted in the lives of about 5 million farmers in 18 states of Nigeria since 1986.
We provided several packages of technologies of processing or value addition, and we took to the fields and give the farming communities the processing machine, the threshing machine, the hammer mills, everything that can help our farmers to really get be gainfully employed.
In Gombe State alone, Sasakawa has earmarked 148 demonstration plots that serve as farmers' learning platforms for training. In Gombe, Abbas Mekano, NTA News.
And from Gombe, we head to Ibadan, where selected plumbers in Ibadan North Federal Constituency, Oyo State, are expected to benefit from a 5-day training in modern techniques to fulfill President Buhari's policy on youth and human development. Kayode Oladosu reports that the training forms part of the first phase of regional skills development by the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI.
One of the critical areas in building construction is plumbing. Poor plumbing can endanger the foundation as well as the structure of a building, leading to its collapse. It is on this premise that the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI, is set to train and equip 100 knowledge-based plumbers across the Ibadan North Federal Constituency.
It's a nationwide project for capacity building of youths so that they can be gainfully employed and they will be able to also employ others. But most importantly, addressing the gap, the challenging we are having in the building industry.
The relevance of the program is geared towards self-reliance through effort of the member representing Ibadan North Federal Constituency.
Nigeria as a whole will also benefit from the knowledge they are about to acquire.
The program was an opportunity for the participants on new methods of plumbing and its application.
It has helped us with the youth, most especially we from the street that are going off the street to face life. We are getting empowered more as a plumber.
The are expected to train others after the 5-day training. In Ibadan, Kayode Oladosu, NTA News.
This is the network news on NTA. It's time to join Hingino in Lagos for more reports from that zone. Hello, Hingino.
The Oil Producers Trade Section, OPTS, an umbrella of oil and gas companies in Nigeria, says it will continue to make significant contributions to the domestic and export gas production and supply to Nigeria's development. This was the message of the chairman, OPTS, Ricky Kennedy, to the celebration of 60th anniversary of the body's operations in Nigeria.
A stock taking time to review the successes recorded by the Oil Producers Trade Section, OPTS, in the last 60 years of its existence. From a humble beginning with 3 members in 1962, OPTS has evolved from an organization initially dominated by international oil companies to an all-inclusive 29 members, out of which 21 are indigenous and homegrown. Speaking on Nigeria's transition to green energy, Vice President Yemi highlighted government's energy transition plan, a comprehensive, data-driven and evidence-based plan designed to deal with the twin crises of climate change and energy poverty. The Vice President enjoined members of OPTS to continue to partner with the government as natural gas is crucial to integrating a greater share of renewable energy in Nigeria.
I think that the private sector must up its participation in the transition to green energy journey. And in particular, the OPTS, I think that you must be involved more actively in the conversations. I suggest 3 ways. The first, of course, is greater investment, greater involvement in the conversations about what an economically just transition to zero emissions should actually look like.
Chairman OPTS represented said through direct and indirect employment of workers, local contractors and service providers, OPTS member companies have contributed to providing significant livelihood to Nigerians. As a group, he said OPTS member companies accounted for 40 to 60% of government revenue through export earnings.
Several deep water leases have been renewed. The indigenous community, indigenous players in the industry are also growing in their numbers. So our immediate focus is how we then grow production, grow our reserve base.
We've done a lot of scholarships in Nigeria, in the communities where we operate. We've done a lot of schools in the communities where we operate. Even during the COVID period, we contributed over $30 million to the COVID support to ensure that COVID was tackled well in Nigeria. We also built hospitals in the 6 geopolitical zones in.
With the cutting of the anniversary cake and special recognition of past chairmen for their outstanding contributions, the organization says its commitment to supporting the development of the Nigeria's oil and gas industry is sacrosanct. In Lagos, Ruth Ario Samuel, NTA News.
World Breakfast Day is celebrated to create more awareness on the importance of regular healthy breakfast. This year, Kellogg's Tolaram celebrated the day by breaking the record of feeding 1,500 people in Lagos at a go as against the previous 1,300 with its various nutritional products.
When you wake up in the morning before you start your day.
This hall has been converted to a temporary dining hall by Kellogg's Tolaram, awaiting its breakfast guests. In no time, the hall was filled with families who came to enjoy the company's benevolence. The event created opportunity for families to bond while eating on the same table and enjoying Kellogg's cornflakes for breakfast. After their breakfast, the atmosphere suddenly became charged as both parents and children demonstrated the nutritional value of Kellogg's products through their dance steps. For Lovina Nwokocha and her family, the experience will remain green in their hearts.
I'm happy being with my children in a round table reception.
Mercy Johnson, a brand ambassador, is excited about the initiative.
Breakfast is a must-have when you're starting your day. Not just breakfast, but a healthy breakfast with Kellogg's.
The management of Kellogg's Tolaram say they will continue to promote healthy feeding through their products.
It's been 8,300 now. We're trying to do 1,500 numbers. So, Kellogg's, it's an historical brand and will never stop to make history.
Breakfast is very important. It's the most important meal of the day. And Kellogg's gives you Kellogg's cornflakes, Kellogg's Cocoa Pops, Kellogg's Rice Krispies gives you the nutrients you need.
How you start your day depends on will determine how you end it. So fortifying yourself with good nutritional benefits is something that we encourage.
Celebrating World Breakfast Day has been Kellogg's Tolaram's tradition since 2018. Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Time for a break. The news will be back.
It's nice to know you're still watching the network news on NTA. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, is in Calabar, the Cross River State capital, for this year's World Tourism Day. Anthony Forson has all the details.
The Information and Culture Minister was received at the Margaret Ekpo International Airport by top Cross River State government officials.
We chose Calabar in Nigeria for the World Tourism Day because of what Calabar represents for tourism industry in Nigeria. Tourism is no longer pleasure, it's an economy on its own because it employs 1 in every 10 people in the world today. Tourism employs about 30 million people, has about $2.3 trillion turnover.
On the theme for this year's celebration,
the theme is rethinking tourism, which means we must start looking at tourism from a different perspective: planet, people, and prosperity.
It's also very exciting that we're rounding up our government, here in Calabar with this event. So this, of course, is also a prelude to the biggest street party, which is about the biggest entertainment event, export event that we have from Nigeria.
Rethinking tourism will open up a very wide space for creative ingenuity, the creative ingenuity of our youth and women to key into tourism dividends.
Most countries just came out of, the pandemic. So starting with a very big event like World Tourism Day will definitely bring stakeholders.
A number of activities have been lined up to celebrate and promote tourism. In Calabar, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
The executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, Mohammed Nami, is urging government at all levels to deploy tax revenues for the common good of the citizens for a concomitant increase in tax compliance by taxpayers. This was at the launch of the Public Finance Database by the Nigeria Governors Forum in Abuja. In a statement, the service indicates the low compliance tax rate in most developing countries is as a result of the failure of the social contract between taxpayers and the government, noting that those in political leadership in the country have a duty to promote a tax-paying culture by relating projects and infrastructural developments executed by them to taxes paid by taxpayers. The FIRS boss further argues that projects funded by taxpayers' money should be reported as such and not personalized so that citizens will begin to relate these projects as the proceeds of their taxes. Mr. Mohammed Nami also advocates a harmonized tax system as a cure for tax revenue leakages, as well as optimizing tax revenue collection. Brent crude slides below $85 a barrel as investors gain 87.7 billion naira to open the week on a bullish note. Details with Musa Abubakar on Business News. Musa.
Thank you, Najah. Brent crude fell below $85 a barrel Monday as recession faced way and US dollar surge. Brent futures for November settlement shed 2.1% to trade at $84.32 per barrel around 1:20 p.m. on Wall Street. West Texas Intermediate crude futures fell 2.3% to trade at $76.97 per barrel, a price last seen in early January. In outer capital market, the Nigerian exchange group stock exchange pulled back its Friday losses, with stocks bouncing back on Monday as the all-share index as the all-share index closed trade on a positive note for 9,189.32 basis point. A total turnover of 119.2 million, volume of shares worth 854.7 million naira, exchange hands in 3,580 deals at the end of the session, with market equity at 26.5 trillion naira. Courtville, FCMB and Zenith Bank were the most traded stocks. That was a quick look at business. Najia, is back to you.
Thank you, Musa. President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed sadness over the death of Rotimi Fashakin, a former executive director of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA. In a statement, President Buhari says the death of such a dedicated and loyal party man is sad indeed, explaining that the former spokesperson of the Congress for Progressive Change, CPC, whose intellect and competence were amazing, and also given a good account of himself, discharging every responsibility with skill and competence. He prays God to bless his gentle soul and grant his family the fortitude to bear this irreparable loss. Meanwhile, on Thursday last week, the Nigeria International Economic Partnership Forum was held in Manhattan, New York, in the middle of the most important international event of the year, the United Nations General Assembly. The forum was enormously popular, attracting 500 guests and delegates, almost double the expected number.
The forum was a resounding success, a clear indication of investor confidence in Nigeria. Nigeria is the biggest economy in Africa and seeks to raise GDP to $965 billion, almost $1 trillion, by 2027. Under President Muhammadu Buhari, the nation has recorded marked progress in highways construction, bridges, railway, power, electrification, and capacity addition, airports, and their modernization. As the president spoke, making the determination of his government to open more and more sectors of the economy to the private sector, a particular participant stoned not a few when he announced that he manages pension funds of $1.3 trillion, money well in excess of Nigeria's current GDP, 5 times over. Over $1 billion worth of deals benefiting Nigeria and her partners were signed at the forum, including a $1.3 billion investment from Sun Africa for a new solar energy project, 70 million ring fence, and Nobles Green Energy for a new biodiversity project, strategic financing support for a new refinery in the Niger Delta announced by Honeywell, and a major philanthropic investment in data for Nigerian schools announced by Airtel Africa that will be setting up internet connection for 100 schools each year for 5 years running. A highlight of the event was a presidential luncheon which saw guests of honor President Muhammadu Buhari joined by CEOs and senior executives from some of the largest and most prominent American and African companies, including Chevron, Honeywell, Bell Flight, Sun Africa, and others. The World Food Programme, the Food and Agriculture Organization, the International Fund for Agriculture, and NAPAD Agency for Africa were among participants. Of course, no one could have overlooked the overreaching presence and actual participation of the Corporate Council of Africa, whose current president, Flory Liza, addressed the meeting, saying that the organization is pushing for a private sector roadmap to support investment in several sectors to aid economic growth in Nigeria. Some of this country's biggest corporations were also represented at the highest levels. Nigeria's oil and gas sector came under discussion with a focus on reforms, results, and road ahead, where international interest was conversed for the 2 pipeline projects taking Nigeria's gas to Europe through Morocco and Algeria. Awareness was also raised by the NNPC Limited on the dangers of crude oil to Nigeria and the world at large.
We'll take more messages now. Please stay tuned.